You see those clouds? There's a storm coming. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are talking about The Gathering Storm. We are finally in the final stretch here. This is book 12 of The Wheel of Time. And well, the final stretch, I feel like, begins with Knife of Dreams, but this is the first part of what was originally the final book of Memory of Light. Instead, we get 3 of these big boys here, because there's still a lot to happen here. So this video, like all the other ones here, are going to be just doing a general kind of discussion. I will do some review moments as well, but more kind of just a discussion of the book, which will be spoilers for this book and anything before it. No spoilers for the last 2, just keeping it contained to each book. But kind of going through and talking about what happens in this book, things I like, don't like, that sort of thing, and some big moments here as well. So I will talk about a little bit too, just to mention this is, of course, the first book that was co-authored by Brandon Sanderson, and so that's a big thing. And I remember originally, that's actually why I started reading Sanderson. It was announced he was going to be taking over the Wheel of Time after Robert Jordan's untimely passing, and so I picked up Warbreaker and then ended up reading Mistborn, and the rest is history, and found a lot of enjoyment here. But there are definitely some differences, although honestly I don't think nearly as much as people like to say. You see it with some characters, specifically Matt is the one that's brought up quite a lot, where people say that Sanderson gets Matt wrong. I've actually talked about this in a previous video a long time ago, but I don't think that Sanderson gets Matt wrong. I think it's Sanderson writes a more direct approach to Matt, who is kind of the roguish character, adds a little bit of extra stuff to him, but I also think fits given the situation, and so we'll talk about that a little bit more. But overall, honestly, so much of this still really does feel like the Wheel of Time, and although there are some differences, the prose is obviously not going to be completely the same. There are, even Sanderson's joke, some people are like, oh, Sanderson definitely wrote this part. He's like, nope, that was all Jordan, and vice versa. So it really is pretty seamless, I think, with how it's written. But let's get into talking about the book, because the first thing I have to talk about, of course, is the prologue. And the later books especially have these really long prologues where we're going all over. We're getting these short POVs from all kinds of different people, and there is so much actually going on here as well. It's where we get to see more of Iturralde. We get to see all kinds of things, but the big part, my favorite, is kind of the opening, where it's the Borderlanders who are just slowly getting ready to march north toward the Blight, because they feel that that's what they need to do. It's just they see the storm, they know something bad is coming, and we just start heading that way. And I absolutely love how that's handled, and I really just enjoy that scene. And there's a few of those. There's some really great opening scenes in each of these books that are just really strong and really set the tone. So I like that kind of feel, and this book does deal a lot talking about, we see different characters reacting to it. There is the storm coming, the clouds coming, although there's no actual storming happening, and it's just Tarmangai in the last battle is very much near, and there's still so many things that need to happen in order to get the world there. We continue to see all kinds of things like spoilage of food, and the Dark One's touch just affecting everything, and all of these bubbles of evil that are popping up even more. And so I really enjoy the way it's happening, and then it makes it so that it makes sense too, especially with this book, the 2 characters we really focus on, which are Rand and Egwene, and they're the 2 we spend the most time on. Now, we spend a little bit more time with Egwene, which oddly enough I'm okay with, because this is kind of the culmination of a lot of the plot lines that have been going on, and a lot of the character arc for Egwene we actually get here. There's still a lot more to happen with the character, but we get some huge things happening where I actually enjoyed her captured in the tower kind of thing. I know a lot of people still don't like Egwene. Still not a favorite character of mine, but I like what starts in Knife of Dreams, and then what kind of finishes here. I enjoyed that plot line where she's really just, she started and they made her the Amerlin seat because the rebels wanted somebody they could control, but she ends up becoming the Amerlin in her own right, and just kind of the whole passage where she's going through and she's working in the tower against her constraints, trying to get all this finished, and then ends up finally becoming Amerlin of both after the Shan-Chan attack. I just love how that ends up going. Also, her POV involves one of my absolute just favorite scenes, and just I will never get over the way it is. It gets me every time, even though I know it's going. I'm like is Varen. And just the scene where Varen just walks into her room. She's like, "Oh, by the way, your dress is green." And it's like, what? And finding out that Varen is Black Aja and basically joined because she didn't really have much of a choice and couldn't also pass up the ability to study the Black Aja. And then it's just spent her time since documenting everything she can to pass along. It's just like, what a completely awesome move, and just the way she reveals it too. It's done in such a dramatic way, and I like, you do get, Sanderson writes in a little bit of extra foreshadowing here too, which is one of the differences, because there are definitely comments about Browns and Varen who kind of seems like she's not all there, but you wonder, is she? And there are some comments here that kind of tell you a little more, where like when Matt's with her, Matt's like suspicious, and he's like, I see the game you're doing where you get people to just, underestimate you with that. And so kind of set up, you get a little bit more, but still that kind of reveal, like, yeah, she's a nice guy. You figure she's scheming, but that just reveal of her, just the nice grandmotherly character being Black the whole time. Just, oh my gosh. Such a great reveal and one of my favorite scenes. So also, of course, I really love that as well, and pretty cryptic with what she sets up with Matt, which we'll find out later on as well. But so a lot of those scenes, just the cleansing out the Black Aja, and just how the culmination of Egwene's plotline is something I really do enjoy. We do also get Darth Rand or Emo Rand or whatever you want to call it. I've heard both in the book here too. But we've had Rand, and we have the ongoing plotline with Cadsuane and Sorilea, where they want to teach him laughter and tears because he's just constantly, trying to harden himself to be harder, to do whatever it takes. And then finally he just suddenly snaps after Semirhage escapes, and then uses the domination band to control him. Like, she's trying to make him kill Min, and it's this whole moment, and he just kind of just completely just snaps and just kind of goes completely cold. And then the huge moment where he ends up actually somehow using the true power, which, the essence of the Dark One that only even the Forsaken can only use at the express will of the Dark One, able to use that to destroy it, and then immediately kill Semirhage, and just kind of his change here, where he no longer, he's like, you know what, I'll kill women if that's what I have to do, I'll destroy them. He ends up going after Grandal, and just is very cold about that whole kind of thing. Same thing with meeting with the Borderlanders. He's just like, no, I'm not putting up with anything at all, we're going, I'll destroy anyone who stands in my way, and just absolutely kind of hits that spot. And we get some great scenes from this. I love the way it's visually described as almost, there's like this almost like darkening around him, and you start to see where we've seen things, we've had bits of the prophecy where it's like said the dragon is tied to the land, and we see that somewhat literally. And as he's gotten worse, the Dark One's touch on the world and the way things spoil has gotten worse. And then now it's like this little darkening where he's almost like taking the light away because of the path that he's going on, and all of the scenes and people seeing him in a different way, him banishing Cadsuane, which, granted, I would have, where I ran, even before this, I would have totally banished Cadsuane. Are you kidding me? The way she acts, I'm just saying, I get that one. Other things, he's definitely going further dark. But we get the big meeting where he actually meets with the real Tuon and is trying to basically make some sort of peace, but he's in his complete don't stand in my way thing, and so they're not able to come to anything. So the first time Matt kind of gets mentioned as well, and so that I kind of like that whole thing, and Nynaeve being mad, not understanding context, and defending Matt and whatnot, and so it's a good there, but just ran with him just being no, this isn't a negotiation. You will make peace with me, or, I'm going to destroy you. And so just going into that whole thing, get another just fantastic moment with him seeing Tam again for quite literally the first time since the Eye of the World. It's, we've seen Tam around a bit in Perrin's plotline, but he hasn't actually seen Rand, and seeing him and Rand lashing out and almost trying to kill him in kind of the breaking point. Him deciding to go to Shan-Chan and is just planning to or not to Shan-Chan, I'm sorry, to Ibu Dar, where the Shan-Chan are based, and it's just planning to just obliterate everything, and just kind of then sees the people who are worried about him and he can't do it, and his whole kind of run to Dragonmount where he finally just kind of is able to make peace with himself, and we'll see the effects more of that afterwards too. But just that final end and like the clouds breaking, once again, just so many things, just like visually, I absolutely love it. And it's something too, Jordan's always been so great with the visual descriptions, and you get a ton of that here, even though this is a Jordan Sanderson, and just really, really well done, and just some huge moments of payoff from throughout the series. And this is only the first of the last 3 books. We still got 2 more, and there's, I promise you, if you're still going through the first time, there is so much more to come. But just some huge, just fantastic moments in this one that I absolutely love. So tons of great stuff there. We do spend a bit of time as well with Matt and Perrin, although a lot less. Matt a little bit more than Perrin. And this is, even though there's not a ton of Matt, it's once again, it's Matt back with the band. And I really enjoy the band of the Red Hand. I really enjoyed Matt back in his element with the band and kind of everything there. So it's definitely something I enjoy. They're kind of going to figure out. We have the reveal of the letter that Moraine gave to Tom saying, which it's been kind of that's set up as well already, but we talk about more of that. They're starting to plan out going to the Tower of Genji to try to somehow rescue Moraine, and just kind of more on that. So we have all the things that are still building in this book, and we're getting ready for Matt to do more there. But I just enjoy seeing him back with the band, and then Perrin as well. We don't see a ton in this book, but we get a little bit more seeing Faile and seeing him interact with Faile, and just kind of the after effects of what had happened in Knife of Dreams with the capture and the rescue and all that kind of thing. So there's still some more there, and we spend a lot of not a lot of time, but we spend time with other bit characters here and there with the different plot lines going on around as well. And it's something still that I enjoy, that we're getting all of these different little pieces of the world. And a lot of what we're still doing here, and it started in Knife of Dreams for sure, is we're trying to get everything in the same place. Something that I also like here is the use of, and it was done in the previous books too, but it's the use of the colors. When Rand, Matt, or Perrin think about the other, they see like the colors and can kind of actually see them basically. And so that's used to show us kind of where the other people are. And there are some times in this book too where somebody sees one of the other characters somewhere they're not quite yet. So we kind of know like, okay, so we're a little ahead here. And it's a creative and interesting way to kind of try to get the plot line synced, because obviously we need to get things kind of synced up as we're getting toward the finish of the series. So that works really, really well also. But yeah, like I said, a ton of huge stuff that happens here in the book, and just a lot of exciting stuff. I've like I said before, when I first read these two, I love these books. I still love these ones, and I think Sanderson did as good a job as really could have been done. There are some differences, like I said, I'd kind of wrap around back to Matt, and it's more so, it's just Matt being a little bit sillier, a little bit more of the kind of the roguish, type of character, like him wanting to do backstories for his men, him being a little bit more obvious with some stuff like that, and his swagger. And a lot of it is just a difference in how it's written. Jordan wrote with a lot more subtlety than Sanderson does, just because they're different people, it's a different style. So Sanderson is a little bit more overt about how the way that he's writing things. I also have still said before, I feel like with Matt recently becoming married to a noblewoman, no less, becoming a prince, no less, probably regressing a little bit. He's back with the band. He just kind of wants to pretend those things are different. And so we see a little bit more things like that. That's kind of the biggest change, though, I feel like with Sanderson, is Jordan is a lot more subtle. And all throughout, you have a lot of the subtle bits of foreshadowing. And Sanderson still is using that, but he's making things a little bit more obvious. But I also think it makes sense considering we're reaching more of the conclusion. We're not setting up a ton of tiny little things as much anymore. We're really reaching the conclusion, and we're starting to get somewhere. So more and more reveals are starting to come. And just the place we have here as well, another thing that I like is, it's not like it's just like, oh, yep, okay, last battle's coming. Everybody's like, let's put a hand in and go. Like, things are a mess right now. It's Matt is still trying to figure out what he's going to do. Perrin has just kind of been off, trying to rescue his wife and deal with Missima this whole time, and he's around. You have the Shan-Chan that are still expanding. Other people being pulled in. The Borderlanders aren't where they're supposed to be. The White Tower's a mess, and it's in a little bit of a better place at the end of this book too, but there's so many things going wrong. And then we have all the things Rand had been focused on trying to do, have peace with the Shan-Chan, go terribly wrong as well. And the way that happens as well, I like, because it shows us Tuon and kind of what's going on there. And then at the end of it, she declares herself the Empress, which she before had been under the veil, metaphorically, so that she was just the High Lady Tuon and not the daughter of the Nine Moons. But she declares herself the Empress, and now is saying, she has no equal, and so, Rand will need to kneel before her, is still what she thinks from their prophecies. But also because the Shan-Chan still think that, like, the Aes Sedai are behind or more involved with Rand and other things like this. They're like, we need to attack the White Tower now. And that's what gives the impetus for the attack that had already been being thought about, and which is a pretty pivotal moment as well, that kind of intersects both Rand and Egwene's stories in that way. Also, we get Elida captured and going to be turned into Damani, and I'm generally okay with that. There's a couple of those really, really satisfying, because you had Galena not managing to escape and being drug off to the Threefold Land in the last book, and then this one, Elida being captured, which is pretty satisfying. But it something needed to obviously happen there, so it works out pretty well. But just kind of that combo there, and it's something too where the more time you spend with the Shan-Chan, I really do like seeing things, because they do have a pretty diverse and complex culture and group of cultures, because there's so many different people. So that started once again in the last couple of books. You spend a little bit more time getting to know different parts of the Shan-Chan Empire, how they work, what's going on, the different factions, that kind of thing. There are different prophecies, omens, things they look at as well. And so just that kind of the meshing, and as we all are really coming together, is once again just something that I am a huge, huge fan of. So overall, and I'll cut off here, because I could, as with any of these books, probably keep talking for an hour. But those are kind of my general thoughts. Some big things, some things I really like out of the Gathering Storm. I am so excited to get to the last two books in the next 2 months and then complete this reread. It's been a long time coming, and this is actually the slowest I've ever read the books, doing one per month, so it's been interesting that way, because it'll have been almost a year and a half by the time we finish up in April. But I've had a fantastic time rereading. I hope you've had a good time watching these videos as well. But let me know your thoughts on the Gathering Storm, any of the things I said, Wheel of Time in general, of course, down in the comments. Always love to hear it. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizardly Do a Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, any books, really anything at all. It is a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.